Now, it's time for the Nailsin ratings. Smart Aleck comments by me, Mr. Nailsin, on all things concerning life, entertainment, culture, politics, and whatever else the cat may drag in. All right, CBS released their trailer for the upcoming Star Trek Discovery series. That'll be available on their CBS All Access platform. But the pilot will be broadcast on their broadcast channel for everyone to get a look-see, and then go from there, and you can become a subscriber if you're interested in the show. Well, right off the bat, there's problems. I mean, the trailer itself, it's not that interesting. There's some spectacular effects and everything, but you can expect that in the technology of the day, and so all that looks cool and everything. But you got to understand Star Trek, and if you don't, I don't know where you've been, but fans of that show are quite religious about it. So there's always going to be slip-ups here and there. That's understandable. But boy, these are some major ones. Right off the bat, of course, everyone noticed the Klingons. They show Klingons in there. They don't look anything like the Klingons. It's just bizarre, unless this is some other like cousin race to the Klingons. I don't know. They've been living somewhere where they got real mutated, or they're bloated from diabetes or something. I don't know, but so anyway, you got that thing, and because the look of the Klingons has been pretty well established over several decades by now. And I mean, of course, in the 60s, they had to go with what they had, the shoestring budget and not a whole lot of great effects and stuff. So they were basically just a bunch of guys with faux tan and mustaches. And but later on, the franchise explained that, and they did a pretty cool explanation in the Enterprise series, and linked it up with the whole Khan and his whole story and all that. It was a pretty cool idea that they did. One of the few clever episodes of that series, which was pretty bad. But anyway, so that was explained, and so there you go. You got to have it now. All of a sudden, they got this one that takes place in the past. I mean, if it took place in the distant future, where you could say, well, the Klingons mutated into this new form or whatever, well, boy, sky's the limit then. But when you have a prequel, you've immediately have to accept you're limited to what went on after it, because it's already established. And prequels, they still can't seem to get them right. We all know about Star Wars, and it seems to be the case here too. So yeah, the Klingons don't look right. But then there's other things here. Right off the bat, the trailer starts telling you that this is 10 years before Captain Kirk's time. Just 10 years? I think they should have pushed it a little further back. That wouldn't solve the Klingon problem, but they do show the uniforms and look of this crew. Now, the uniforms that the crew of the ship are wearing looks pretty derivative of the Enterprise era suits, and that would make sense. Like, there's a transition between the look over the years of the uniforms of Starfleet's crew, and that's fine and all, but I don't think that would have happened 10 years prior to Captain Kirk, and I know it wouldn't, because in the original series, they already showed you what the Federation looked like 10 years prior to Kirk. There was an episode called The Menagerie. That was where they talked about Captain Pike, the captain who preceded Kirk, and originally, of course, originally there were two pilots. The first pilot had Jeffrey Hunter as the captain, and the NBC passed on it and said, "Well, try to do another one," which was kind of odd, but nevertheless they did. Well, they couldn't get Jeffrey Hunter back, so they hired Shatner, and Kirk was born. So they'd still had that footage, so they reused it in this series, and they depicted this as what the Enterprise crew was like. I think it was 13 years prior to Kirk. So that's even a few years longer than what Discovery is going to take place in. So, boy, it doesn't look anything like that era. It made no attempt whatsoever. It just looks like another offshoot of Star Trek The Next Generation era type stuff. And it's just no attempt was made to make it fit, So unless this is like Discovery is some sort of special, section of the Federation that's different from the rest of the fleet, and maybe that's where they're going for, and maybe that would explain that. But I don't know. It just, I mean, the Pike crew, when they beam down, they'd wear these blue jackets, so they kind of look similar to that look, I guess. But no, it just doesn't fit at all. And of course, like I said, the bridge design. Now the bridge design, it's rather dark, and there's some red in it, which is pretty good because there was a lot of red in the original series look. But still, no real attempt to match it up to it. I don't expect it to be a carbon copy of it because that would look a little too silly. But no real attempt at all to kind of mesh the two eras, So pretty bad on that part, and but egregiously bad here when you're overlapping timelines here, or things that are set. Now, give it a chance. Well, yeah, but when you've decided you're going to do the prequel, that's how you're presenting it. You even put it in the opening lines of this trailer, saying, well, 10 years before Kirk and Spock. Then you're expected to know what you're talking about, and they don't. So this is just the laziness of a bunch of people who probably want to do a sci-fi show, but they don't have what it takes to do one on their own. So they just want to use this established brand name and try to limp along on that. Yeah. Oh boy. So not optimistic about this version of Star Trek, but I could be proven wrong. But only time will tell. So we'll see, but so far, effects and whatnot look cool, so I guess I can give them a star out of 5 just on the trailer. But we'll see what that first episode does. But boy, like I said, not optimistic. And this has been the Nailsin Ratings. Say, do you love the sound of my voice? Yes, me too. Well, you can hear more of it on my podcast, The Mr. Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. New episodes posted every Saturday.